Um, so I'm Dave Shipper, and tonight I'm talking to Nicky Nieling. Did I say your last name right?
You did. You got it.
Got it. Cool. Nicky, tell us a little bit about yourself. We as judges saw you last year in the songwriting contest, and you entertained us last year. This year, we picked you because that pen song, writing a song about writing a song. I loved
Yeah,
it.
got a handful of those actually.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I live in Rochester, Minnesota. I actually got selected as a finalist 2 years ago and got to play in person at the fest there. Two of my songs.
Okay, great.
I think Don Harvey was the host of
Sure.
the MC for that contest. I was kind of familiar with the fest. I'd been to it once before. Lived in La Crosse quite a few years ago, from like 2000 to 2008 or something like that. And this contest is really fun. It's really inclusive, really cool to see what other people in the area are working on. And now that it's virtual, now it's a much wider area. Really cool to.
Well, we were going to make it more accessible even without the pandemic. But when the pandemic came around last year, we came up with this concept. So we maintained it this year, and that way, you know what, we're gonna have a whole bunch of songwriters on Sunday, but they're not going to be in a contest, so they're going to be relaxed, swapping songs. It's going to be a great time this year.
Cool.
It looks like, we're going to have it. It's like at one point at the beginning of January, February, there still was keep your fingers crossed, but now it looks pretty confident.
That's great. That's great news.
Yeah, so let's just jump in. You've actually answered the first one. You've been to La Crosse before.
Yeah, I mean, I graduated from high school, Rochester, Minnesota, 98. Moved to Colorado for a couple of years, competed in snowboarding and chased that dream for a little while, and
Sure.
ended up moving to La Crosse to study television production at the tech school there. Met my wife. We moved to the cities for about a decade. Ended up back in Rochester about 2 years ago. So,
Well,
yeah, I've been bouncing all over the place, kind of.
it sounds like you're bouncing around God's country. You can't go from Colorado to La Crosse to the Twin Cities without thinking about this is the perfect world.
Yeah,
So you obviously know about the giant six pack.
Yep.
And Dave's Guitar Shop. Isn't that the best? I've hosted people from all over the country and the world, and if I get a chance, I take them to Dave's, and they just shake their head. They said,
Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing.
yeah, they have never seen a guitar shop like that ever.
I mean, I went to it back in the early 2000s quite a few times before they rebuilt and added all that new storefront and stuff. And I went back there after they built it out, and that whole upstairs area with all those Rickenbackers and just anything you can think of. It's like a museum. Like, I've been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was just as impressed with Dave's Guitar Shop as I was with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I think Dave could use some placards, so that you could self-guided tour. But
right. I used to mow that guy's lawn actually years ago.
Really?
Now that I think about
it. Well, I'll have to somehow get that across to him. That one of our songwriters mowed your lawn once, Dave. He's a good guy.
Way more than once.
All right. Let's get you into the legend quiz. Bob Dylan or John Prine?
Oh man. It's like you're trying to get me to pick my favorite child right now.
Well,
I've been a fan of Bob Dylan a lot longer than I have been John Prine. I was kind of late to John Prine, but I got to tell you, Bob Dylan, probably overall songwriter, I'm more impressed, but I'd probably listen to John Prine more these days. So I guess I'm having my cake and eating it too. I don't know if I can answer that one too much more than that.
I like how you phrase it. Joni Mitchell or Carole King?
Joni Mitchell.
Robert Cray or B.B. King?
I'd say Mr. King.
Brandy,
Gotta love Lucille.
Brandy Carlisle or Jillian Welch?
Ooh, another tough one. I'm more familiar with Brandy Carlisle, but she probably wouldn't exist without Jillian Welch. So I got to go with Jillian Welch.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. So when do you write? Morning, midday, evening, when the twins go to bed?
Yeah, it's just whenever I can. I write a lot. I write probably almost daily something, but it doesn't always land on a song or anything. But generally, it's an idea jotted down somewhere, and then I elaborate on it at night after the kids go down. Yeah.
Is it by a prompt that you were given, or you wrote yourself, or not? Just kind of like let the muse take you.
Yeah, just let the muse take me pretty much. I think oftentimes it's stealing something that I heard somebody say, and it just I got in a rut there for a long time where everything was love songs, and I'm trying to expand from there. But
Yeah, I know you know what you feel like. It's like for a while in the songwriting contest this year, it's love songs or pandemic songs, and I'm thinking,
yeah,
we need some variety in there, and you did
yeah,
provide us a little variety.
yeah. I'm trying to stay more open minded about it, and not. I write from the heart, and it's mostly personal. Like I have an idea, but then I can't go with an idea and just be super obscure about it. It ends up coming back and hitting home. It ends up being a personal song, and I don't want everything I write to be so heartfelt or so literal, but it's what seems to work the best for me so far. So that's kind of where I've stuck to.
The good songwriters always kind of write about personal things, but make it sound like it's somebody else's.
Yeah, try to keep it somewhat relatable, obviously.
You got it. Paper, computer, or something else?
Paper and pen. Turn the camera here, you'll see all my handwritten lyrics up on the wall here.
Oh my.
Clothespin City over here.
So you don't have notebooks, you just have single pieces of paper, you stuff them in a folder later?
Yeah, I mean, I got a clipboard that I have all my works in progress on, and I get sick of, that pushing this pen, flipping these pages, I got sick of pulling pages out of this folder or out of the clipboard. And so I started hanging them around the room so I could just spot it on the wall and start working on it again. Lately, now with the technology that we have, I tend to write pen and paper, and then I try and put it into the computer so that I can edit it a little bit easier and it's not so chicken scratchy. And I've found that that's super helpful when I'm somewhere else jamming with something, like playing guitar with a buddy or something. I can just pull up Google Drive on my phone and I have all my lyrics right there. So it's it starts pen and paper, but it ends up being digital. So
that's a world. Okay, so one of those songs that you've written, you want to frame, which one?
I've written a lot of songs, some of which probably nobody will ever hear, but I actually framed one of my songs for Mother's Day this last year. I wrote a song for my mom called Taught Me, and I hand wrote it, and I put it in a glass, a real frame, and wrapped it up and gave it to her. And it's all about what she taught me, the value of $1, and compassion and grief, and all you've taught me. So I've actually done it.
Well, yeah, you're the first one who's actually said that. So what color frame did you put in? Classy?
It was just a clear glass frame with no border around it. Just
hanging in your mom's house, huh?
Yeah, it's hanging in her hallway. I don't know. Seemed a little bit full of myself, but I knew she'd love it, and she did. She put a tear in her eye. So
that's a great story, Nicky. Okay. Your writing coach, you would like to thank who as your writing coach?
Probably I would say more writing encourager. Probably my wife and one of my best friends, Chris West.
Huh?
They're always willing to hear me out, and they're not necessarily critiquing it. They're just trying to hone in what I'm trying to say, and John Prine and Bob Dylan.
Good point. 7 words you would tell your 10-year-old self.
Ooh. Keep chasing that dream no matter what happens.
You gotta keep running.
Gotta keep chasing what you're passionate about, or else I think life might get stale if I don't keep doing that.
Well, Nicky, since you've been to our festival, you're one of the rare ones I've talked to so far who might not have as many questions about who we are and what we're up to. You said you were a contestant 3 years ago or 2 years ago?
I think it was not this last summer, but the summer before that.
So you've been down to the Mississippi River, beautiful location that we moved to. We did that about 5 years ago after UWL asked us to move our weekend. So we kind of decided, no, there were too many other conflicts, Larry Fest weekend before us. And so, so we ended up moving, and I love the new location. Now we can actually say we're by the Mississippi River for the Great River
Folk Festival for sure.
And we can have beer. So not that we're a festival that a lot of people get drunk at, but it's like a family reunion. People get back together. You want to just have a beer. So be nice about it. You're adults. So.
Can't say I've ever had a bad time at Riverside Park. I've been to a whole lot of events over there, and seen a lot of concerts over the years. Went and saw them Cooley Boys there. Took our kids there when they were like 3. When they were like 3 for the Riverside concert series or something a couple summers ago.
Tunes probably on a Thursday night. Yep.
Yeah.
Movies is back this year. They just kicked it off tonight with Bill Miller. So they'll have some good concerts. There's a really small concert series on a Tuesday that I love is Dash Park, and Alaska has started that one. So it's yeah. So next week I get to see Pigtown Fling, and then the week after that, the Sapsuckers. So they get good quality too.
Sapsuckers are out of Winona, right?
Sapsuckers are out of Soldiers Grove. I want to say it's south of La Crosse.
Okay.
I always get them mixed.
I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check that out. Tuesday nights.
Tuesday nights. Yep. Yeah, that's a good drive for you, but you would enjoy them. Really relaxed, free concerts.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other questions for us?
At this point, should I stop submitting songs, or can I keep submitting songs?
Good point. No, we don't need.
I thought I still had one in the can that I was ready to drop here one of these weeks.
Well, here's as a finalist, what you end up with is this. When we're all done, we've picked one of your songs, and you'll pick the next song. And then we'll probably have 7 to 8 judges look over the 24 songs from the finalists, and then they'll rate them. And last year was a very meticulous group that we had as finalist judges. There were like 8 different categories, and they all were diligent enough to put their little numbers on every single category. So I added them up, cross-footed, and it was amazing. The final 3 people were in the top 5 of all of the judges. So it all percolated to the top.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of fun. And they all had other people listen to their songs and go through them. And YouTube is a wonderful thing to make it easy for us.
That's right. I got to thank you a lot for putting together that YouTube playlist. It really is neat, Dave. It's really cool to be able to see what other seemingly like-minded people are working on, and maybe undiscovered too. And it really, I'm fairly new to social media within the last, I wasn't on Facebook or Instagram or anything until the pandemic started. I was kind of reluctant about all of it, but I figured if I'm going to keep pursuing music, it's inevitable. And now getting to interact with the crew over at your festival, and then interact with all sorts of other people that are trying to create now all across the country, seemingly, it's really neat. And I can't thank you enough for organizing it and hosting it and all the legwork that goes into that. So
I left one of the Kerrville guys who must work on their festival posted in a group that 4 of our 6 people were Kerrville finalists. 3 from this year, and Daniel Elixir was from the year before. So I jokingly said, "Hey, the other 2 are pretty good. You might want to look at them for next year." And his comment was, "Have them submit their music."
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm late to the game, but I hadn't known about that festival, and I'll be submitting next year if they do something online or another songwriter contest for sure.
They do it every year. They're unlike us. We've been doing it for 12 years. With Don Harvey was really the impetus behind that, started it off. But Kerrville's been doing theirs ever since they started. So they've been doing their new folk over 40 years. So
wow.
And they only pick just one person. They picked 6 this year out of 24. So that's good.
Yeah, I think I saw that Humbird won it this year.
Humbird and Sam Robbins won it. Those are the 2 I recognize out of the 6. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I have so much music to listen to with all these submissions that I'm not going to go and look at the other 4 until later in the year.
Yeah, put them on the back burner.
Put them on the back burner. If they submit to the Great Area Folk Fest, I'll listen to them. If they don't, right, next year.
Yeah, that David Elixir guy, that guy's something else. Holy smokes.
Yeah, fast talking, fast. And I did talk to him about how he said he wrote probably not from a Baylor perspective, and the probably not part was the rhythm of the Baylor. Probably not.
Nice.
Yeah, so you could hear that over and over in his head, and put those 2 things and then wrap the song around it. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was fun to talk to. And you were fun to talk to, Nicky. I wish you the best of luck, and you get over to the festival this year. Look us up. If you win, we'll book you next year, because I don't think I'll have anything for this year around the festival that I can bring the winners in. But next year we will.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thanks for everything you guys are doing. It sure is fun to be a part of it, and I'm literally warms my heart that some people are digging what I'm working on. So
all right, and I always enjoyed it. So even if you didn't win, I enjoy so much of the music that doesn't win. But that's good.
Hard to. I'm glad I'm not in the position of judging all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. We have a group of 3 people who look at the first round, and 8 people who look at the second round. So, and I get out of the second round because I'm too close to everybody who's gotten into it so far. So, all right.
Good deal.
Nice talking to you, Nicky.
Nice